We're going to make a start. Good evening and welcome to the 2023 Year 10 Information Evening. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Jody Ohl and I'm the head of Year 10. I work closely with your sons, helping them to deal with the easy and at times complex challenges as they journey throughout this important year in their schooling and development. Excuse me. To begin the evening, I would like to pay respects to the Durrumbal people, the traditional owners who have walked upon and cared for the land for thousands of years. We pay our respects to elders past, present and those of the future. We acknowledge the continued deep spiritual attachment and relationship of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples to the country and commit ourselves to the ongoing journey of reconciliation. Before we start this evening, could I ask just the boys in particular if you could just switch your phones to silent, put them away. There is going to be important information covered tonight, and I'd like you to be fully attentive. Thank you. I'd also like to welcome all those present this evening and those many families joining us on the live stream. And I'd now invite you to join me in the college prayer. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Loving God, grant me the courage of St. Brendan to journey beyond the familiar and into the unknown. The conviction of Blessed Edmund to liberate the marginalised. The compassion of Christ to go forth with love, and the faith not to doubt that it will be given. St. Brendan, Our Lady of Perpetual Help, live Jesus in our hearts. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Tonight I'll be covering a number of topics which are relevant as our boys develop into young men of character, and you'll hear that phrase a few times tonight. Some of the topics will be purely informative in nature to clarify some key moments throughout the year, while some information will hopefully empower us to better cater to the needs of our boys. It's obvious to us adults that the world of today is very different to that which we grew up in. Our boys might not fully appreciate how much has changed in our lifetimes and how adaptable and open to change the adults in their lives truly are. For example, the iPhone has just recently celebrated its 15th birthday. The Facebook, yes, that's what it was originally called. There was MySpace beforehand, but it went broke. So the Facebook was first launched in February of 2004. That's 19 years ago. And the launch of the first laptop was in 1982, and I'm sure when I was in Mr. Horan's office earlier, I saw him using one of these. And yes, boys, that was the screen. No mouse, no trackpad. All right, but today's devices are certainly more lightweight and powerful than those we used as kids. That was if you were rich enough to even own one. We adults have encountered much change, and now our boys are on a similar journey, except the change is now happening exponentially. It's calculated that the wealth of human knowledge, everything we know, is currently doubling every 13 months. How do we possibly keep up? And how do our young men possibly cope with such fast-paced change? Tonight, I hope to go some small way to creating a shared language between families and the college to allow greater understanding of some of the challenges we can perhaps expect to experience in the year ahead. Year 10 is sometimes described as no man's land in a boys' high school education. However, I prefer to think of it as the third quarter in an AFL grand final. How we finish the match will all depend on our preparation, our strategy, and the quality of our teamwork. I'd like to begin tonight by discussing this topic, raising men of character, the importance of nurturing strong values and direction in our boys. As parents, teachers and role models, we all play a critical role in shaping the future of the next generation of fathers, brothers and young men. It's our responsibility to not only provide our boys with the skills and knowledge that they need to succeed in life, but also to instill in them strong values that will guide them towards becoming responsible, empathetic and ethical individuals. But why is it important to raise men of strong character? Well, raising men of character is critical for several reasons. Firstly, building strong relationships. Children who are taught strong values are more likely to build strong, positive relationships with others. They understand the importance of empathy, respect, and kindness. And these qualities will serve them well both in their personal and professional relationships. Secondly, contributing to society. Children who are raised with a strong foundation are more likely to become responsible citizens who contribute positively to society. They understand the importance of giving back and working for the goodness of all, which will make them valuable and respected members of their communities. Thirdly, a word we hear a lot, resilience. When children are raised with strong values, they are better equipped to handle difficult situations and the challenges of life. They understand that there is always a right thing to do, and they have the courage to stand up for what they believe in. And finally, a sense of purpose. Children who are raised with strong values have a clear sense of purpose and direction in life. They know what they stand for, and they have the confidence to pursue their goals and aspirations with integrity. So, what are some practical steps we can use to ensure we raise men of character? Firstly, lead by example. Children learn by observing and imitating those around them. So it's essential to set a good example, demonstrate the values and behaviours we want our young men to adopt by acting with integrity, honesty and kindness in our own lives. Next, encourage self-reflection. Encourage our boys to think about their actions and the impacts they have on others. Ask them questions that encourage self-reflection and help them understand the consequences of their actions. Next, teach empathy. Teach our children to put themselves in others' shoes and to understand how their actions affect others. Encourage them to show compassion and kindness and to think about the impact of their words and actions. Foster a growth mindset. Encourage our children to embrace challenges and to see mistakes as opportunities for growth and learning. Teach them to have a growth mindset and to approach life with a positive, can-do attitude. Don't let them live in the comfort zone. If life is comfortable, they probably aren't growing. Discuss ethics. Talk to our children about ethical issues and help them understand the importance of making moral decisions. Encourage them to consider different perspectives and to think critically about the implications of their actions. Promote community service. Encourage our boys to get involved in their communities and to give back to others. Teach them the value of helping others and the positive impact they can have on their communities. And finally, and most importantly, be prepared to say no. If young people are not hearing the word no from those they love and respect, it should come as little surprise when they don't respond well when told no in school or in the workplace. Raising men of character is an essential task for all of us. By instilling strong values in our children, we can help them become responsible, empathetic and ethical individuals who contribute positively to society and lead fulfilling lives. Bit preachy, isn't it? Now, I'm not for a moment suggesting that many of these values, if not all of them, are already being taught in our families. In fact, I know they are. But it's not easy. I often think parenting must be the most exhausting job in the world. You very rarely get a break. A lot of the time it's combative, especially in Year 10, and you often wonder who's on your side. And by working in partnership towards the goals that I've mentioned tonight, the college and our boys have the best chance of success. They say it takes a village to raise a child. I'm sure you've all heard that. Well, St Brendan's is a mighty fine village to be a part of. And by working together, we are up to the challenge of raising fine men of character. And as head of Year 10, I'm here to support you as best I can. Now, I'm sure you have all heard, either in the media or from your own sons, that one of the significant challenges facing teenagers today is the influence of social media, which has in part led to a vaping crisis across most developed countries. I wanted to take the opportunity tonight to really inform and present some evidence-based research to you. So currently, approximately 14% of 12 to 17-year-olds have ever tried an e-cigarette, with around 32% of that percentage having used one in the last month. This compares to 1.2% of the general population above the age of 18. So we have 14% of our young children telling us that they vaped within the last month, but only 1.2% of the adult population are. Where children obtain vapes is also interesting. So 63% of children obtain their vapes from their friends, 8% obtain them from their siblings, and 7% obtain them from their families. Some of you may never seen what a vape looks like. So these are two versions, not mine. Right, this one tends to have a fruity flavour. They're disposable, so they're charged and they only last for a certain number of uses, and then after that they die, they fade out as the kids use it. Right, this is another one which could easily be mistaken in a pencil case, or one of the ladies was saying before, gee, I've got a lipstick that looks a bit like that. All right, so if you don't know what you're looking for, you don't know what you're looking for. All right, so that's what you're on the lookout for. Some interesting facts also are the average cost. Now, these are not the legal cost. These are what the kids are getting charged. So these are on the black market. So I had this written up, and one young man told me that the average cost of a vape was between $35 and $40. Then I spoke to another student. He said, oh no, sir, it's more like $50. The average life of an e-cigarette depends on how often it's used, but an average teenage user would probably get 3 to 4 weeks out of a vape. But if they are a high-end user, they would get about 3 days. So $50 every 3 days. I was talking to a young man recently who is in the process of detoxing off vaping, and he told me that after he'd been using his vape for about a week, he started coughing suddenly and was coughing up blood. So this is a significant health issue for our young people. And if we're not informed as the adults, because I showed you before the technology that we started with, if we're not informed about this, we can't be proactive about it. And we are having young men in our college, in other schools around the country, who are losing significant opportunities and pathways because they are engaging in an illegal activity. Vapes are not regulated. The packaging, the labelling is not regulated. The research shows that even though a vape might say it does not contain nicotine, the vast majority of them do, which means they're addictive. I'm going to show you a short ABC presentation. It's, this is not the ABC. I wanted to show another similarity between vaping and cigarettes. So this is an advertisement, one of the original advertisements that was made for cigarette smoking. Now, just to put it into context for the boys, because they're probably thinking, well, I wouldn't trust my dentist with anything. This comes from an era where the three people that your dentist really, your family really trusted, were your dentist, your doctor, and someone at your local pharmacy, or, I can remember as a kid, I think the pharmacist did most of our prescriptions. So it's someone that you respected, someone that you looked up to. Here's today. It's the same approach with vaping, except this time their advertising is targeted at teenagers. Young teenagers, 12, 13, even pre-teens. So information regarding this topic is extremely important, and so I'd like to play the following ABC clip, which presents, I think, a balanced and informed view of the topic. Vaping can actually be quite beneficial for people who have been long-term smokers of cigarettes and who are adopting a harm minimisation strategy. They go to their doctor, they say they want to give up cigarette smoking, they've been smoking for 30 years, the doctor will give them a prescription, and then they can go to a licensed outlet where what they are selling is regulated and they can achieve or get a vape. That's not what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about orders which are made online, deals which are done in shady car parks, things posted through the post that arrive at your house before you get home at work for some families, and you don't even know they're there. What are you looking for? A sweet, fruity aroma. If you have a teenage boy and he suddenly starts smelling like orange, mango, pineapple ice, I know I'd be concerned.
Vaping is more popular than ever. It's only been around since the mid-2000s, but more and more people are using e-cigarettes, particularly children. Young people are often attracted to vapes because of its bright packaging, appealing marketing, and sweet flavours like cola, cranberry, and bubblegum. But many scientists, experts, governments, and not to mention parents are worried.
We just don't know what's coming down the track, and we're seeing a lot of canaries in the coal mine.
Overall, they do cause harms. They cause addiction, they also cause seizures and loss of consciousness. They can cause poisoning and also lung injury.
Pro-vapers say e-cigarettes are a game changer to help people quit smoking.
And we should be encouraging smokers to switch from deadly cigarettes to less risky options, and in Australia that means vaping.
So what exactly does the science say about vaping, and how bad is it for you? Most vapes work in a similar way. A battery-operated device heats up a coil, which vaporizes a liquid that the user then inhales. E-liquids usually contain substances like water, propylene glycol, or vegetable glycerin, flavourings and nicotine. And it's some of these ingredients that scientists are worried about. Let's start with glycerin, used for the vapour, and propylene glycol for the flavours to bind to. Outside of vaping, these substances are usually considered pretty harmless, but
in that process of heating the e-liquid, the propylene glycol and the glycerol, they break down and they change into other more toxic chemicals.
the other aspect scientists are concerned about are the flavours.
So a lot of these are sort of food additives that go into things like biscuits and cakes and that sort of thing, but they're also put into these e-liquids in a liquid form, which you then heat up and inhale, and that's a very different sort of way of being exposed to these chemicals as opposed to cooking it and then eating it.
So we have over 17,000 recorded different flavour combinations of vaping, and we have no idea what the consequences of that will be down the track.
Do you guys sell disposable vapes? No, we do not sell vapes because that is against the law, and we have nothing but respect for the judicial system. I'm not a cop. Oh, sweet. Yeah, no, of course we do. I'll give you this to flip through. This is our list of flavours.
Right now in Australia, e-cigarettes with nicotine are illegal to buy without a prescription. But a study found nicotine in 60% of the Australian-made e-liquids tested. Other research found nicotine in 1 in 10 vapes analysed. And nicotine is one of the most highly addictive substances we know of.
Time to quit vaping.
When you vape nicotine, it goes through your lungs, travels through your bloodstream and into your brain in seconds. Once nicotine reaches the reward pathways of the brain, it unlocks and attaches itself to receptors. This releases a pleasure molecule called dopamine, making you feel good for a short time. The more you use nicotine products, the more receptors are unlocked, making you crave more. As your body adapts, you need more nicotine to get the same effect, creating a tolerance.
Nicotine can affect the ability to concentrate, it can affect memory, it can affect mood, and it also means that people are in the cycle of addiction.
What flavour is this? That is so good! Okay, no, I think I'm addicted.
What complicates this even further is that more young people are vaping while their brains are still developing.
Principals of primary and high school students are continually telling me and my colleagues that vaping is their biggest behavioural challenge that they face in their schools.
8 teens were hospitalised with lung damage in the past month.
Locally, doctors say they've seen an increase in teens getting sick from vaping.
In 2019, doctors in the US started to see young patients who'd been vaping showing pneumonia-like symptoms.
Doctors say the 8 young people came to the hospital with extreme coughs, fatigue, even struggling to breathe.
The condition became known as EVALI, e-cigarette or vaping-associated lung injury. Symptoms include shortness of breath, coughing and chest pain, as well as nausea, stomach problems, fatigue, fever and weight loss.
I remember asking them, like, is he going to recover from this? Like, I can't lose my son. I feel like people need to be aware that this can happen. And if sharing my story can help one person's life, then it's totally worth it.
Like so many things to do with e-cigarettes, scientists aren't exactly sure what causes the condition.
In a big development concerning vaping, it has been making people sick across the country, and now health experts may have some idea why. Turns out products with marijuana all had one chemical in common.
They've found a link with e-liquids, including vitamin E acetate, which is often used alongside THC, the chemical that creates the high from marijuana. The New York Times estimates in 3 years there's been more than 2,500 cases of EVALI, with 59 deaths in the US. In Australia, EVALI cases are extremely rare. Vitamin E acetate is one of a number of substances that can't be used in vapes here, but authorities say we still need to be cautious.
We have seen some episodes of lung injury in Australia that's not seem to be related to THC, and we also know that 1 in 8 cases of that EVALI or lung injury was attributed to normal sort of standard e-cigarettes.
Despite all the risks, vaping has some strong supporters in the medical community.
Vaping not only helps smokers quit, it also reduces the risk to them while they continue to vape.
The key argument is that vaping isn't as dangerous as smoking cigarettes, which all experts agree is extremely harmful.
For people who are smokers who use e-cigarettes to switch completely and promptly to e-cigarettes, that is, they quit normal smoking completely, it's likely that they will be beneficial, bearing in mind that we don't know the long-term effects.
But the evidence on whether vaping does in fact help you quit smoking is mixed. A review of studies from ANU found limited evidence that e-cigarettes were effective in helping people quit.
Most people who quit smoking without any assistance at all, cold turkey.
The review also found non-smokers who took up vaping were 3 times as likely to take up cigarette smoking.
If you use e-cigarettes, you do become addicted to nicotine generally, and that's the active component in tobacco smoking.
But a more recent review of studies from the UK found evidence that quit rates for e-cigarettes with nicotine were higher compared to standard nicotine replacement therapies. While the research continues, experts agree people who aren't already smoking shouldn't take up vaping.
We don't know if vaping is going to be worse than smoking. Probably not much is worse than smoking. It's like comparing, Mount Everest to K2 to the Matterhorn or to sea level. Sea level is where things are really healthy. Everything above that is something that you really want to avoid.
A survey of 700 Australian teenagers found 70% of teens didn't buy their own vapes directly.
There is no other product that is being sold like this in such an illegal way.
What we do need now is real enforcement of the regulations and making sure that we are actually seeing use of e-cigarettes that's directed towards quitting smoking and not this widespread use that we're seeing particularly among children.
There's so much about the impact of vaping that we still don't know. It's certainly not a good thing and not without risks.
All right, so a bit of information there. I just wanted to, there was lots of information on YouTube, but I wanted to find one that I felt was a little bit balanced, because I didn't want to present this part of this evening and just be like vape.
It is really low right now at around 3.5%, and we keep hearing that businesses are.
I didn't want to be coming across as vapes are no and just say no. It's about providing information to families and to students. And obviously there may be some minimal benefit for people who've been long-term cigarette smokers, but that's not what we're dealing with here at St Brendan's. Okay, we're trying to have an intervention where we can provide information so that this doesn't get or become a problem for the boys. As such, our position on vaping. Students found in possession or using vapes will be automatically suspended and there will be an enrolment review with the principal. Selling or distributing vapes is an automatic external suspension, and there will be a show cause interview with the principal, which is likely to lead to enrolment cancellation in all cases. So, using the vape, we will most probably work with you, put a strategy in place. So I would encourage you, if you have a son who you know is vaping, reach out first. Don't let us find him in the toilets. All right. So just some general reminders. Have you got the time there, Mr. Horan? I know I'm standing between people and food. All right, let's tear through a couple of reminders and administrative arrangements for the year. So just regarding applications for leave or notification of absence. If it is known leave or known absence, if you could please advise myself, provide myself as much notice as possible. That allows me to communicate with your son's teachers, to get some work together for while he's going to be away, and to provide you with that. If it's notification of sickness, I'd really like you please to provide notification through either the Parent Lounge or the SBC app. So this is the Parent Lounge. I think most of you would be familiar with that. There's a great deal of information available on there. You have your login. If you have any issues with your login, please send me through an email and I'll direct that to the the people who can help you with that. There's the ability there for you to email your son's class teachers, update your emergency contact information, update your contact and address details, view your son's timetable. A lot of information there. You can also advise us of your son's absence. The most convenient way to do it, however, and the way which most parents now do it, is through the app. So on the home screen of the app, you can see there I have shaded the absentee button. You click on that, and at the moment it takes you to quite a simple form which you fill out, just advising us of your son's absence, the period of time that he's going to be away, etc. That is then put into our system. What we'll be hopefully moving to pretty soon is the link will take you directly to the appropriate section of the Parent Lounge, where you will be able to enter that information and it will just automatically go into our system. So we're trying to automate that, and that will be happening in the very near future. Does it? Well, they didn't tell me that. Thank you. They're doing it in the very, very near future. All right. Were there any questions so far? Any questions about the content of the night so far? I'm doing a shock and awe approach here. All right. I wanted to talk just briefly about the difference between the role of head of year versus head of department, because at times there is a little bit of confusion. The college has a number of key people who are able to assist you with your inquiries. With regard to subject or class-specific information, it's always best to direct your inquiry to the individual class teacher first. I know when I'm teaching a class, if parents have concerns or questions, I always really appreciate it when the parent comes to me rather than going to my head of department. All right, it's just a little bit, I find it just a bit easier to, it gets one person out of the loop. Heads of year are not involved in journey group allocations. So beginning of terms, I often get inquiries from parents, all the heads of year do. I'd like my son to move from foundation into core maths, please. That's actually the head of department's role. So the head of department will look at your son's previous maths results, will look at the numbers of each class and determine if that move would be in your son's best interest. We don't discourage, what do you call, aspiration, don't you, Mr. Horan? So if a boy thinks he would be better suited in a core class, all right, and his results are pretty close to that, we would certainly say, yep, we'll back you for that. We do assist with subject changes in cooperation with Mr. Herning and with Mr. Horan. My role is primarily for all your pastoral and personal concerns or questions you may have. If in doubt, by all means ask me, and I'll be happy to direct you to the staff member best able to assist you. A final note is that all inquiries for school-based apprenticeships, and we've had quite a few already this year, should be made to Mr. Andrew Lawrence, our head of Voc Ed. All right. Camp. So these are the last little just quick takeaways, and if you have any questions, please see me or shoot me through an email. So the camp will be held in week 5 of term 2. It's a participate at your own ability or level experience or opportunity. So some boys, they look at the mud up to their neck and they go, I've got my best shoes on, I don't think I'm up for that today. I'll stand on the side and I'll encourage the guys and you look great. All right, some kids just relish, some staff even, just relish diving head on in, and we've got some great photos over the years. The cost of the camp is currently on term 1 accounts. Now, that's to relieve the financial burden of the camp, so it just allows families to spread the payments of the camp throughout the year. All right? There's no pressure to have paid by the camp before we go on camp. And further detailed information about the camp, including a very detailed itinerary and what to bring, and all of those details will be coming in about a week. The set plan. I am a really strong advocate of the set plan. I think it's a fantastic thing, a fantastic process which boys go through. So all Year 10 students in Queensland are required to complete a senior education and training plan. Now this will be completed in term 3. However, I encourage families to begin the preparation for the plan now. Have the conversation with your son. What are you thinking about doing after school? Well, what subjects would you need to do that? How are you going in those subjects at the moment? Is that realistic? What do we need to do? Do we need to get you some tutoring if that's your goal? You're not sitting that well in maths, but you want to be a pilot. We probably need to get your maths results up. So have those conversations, because the earlier that we have those conversations, the more preparation we can do. And the plan is used to help determine subject selection for 2024. Okay, so based on students' demonstrated ability, if they come and tell us that they want to do the top level science and they have not done that well, that would determine some of our direction that we would be looking at going in. Any questions? None. Right. Well, I'll just say my... Yes. Thank you. So we don't offer work experience during term time. We do support students to do work experience. So, for instance, I had one come over my desk just the other day, an opportunity at Capricorn Caves. But the position of the college is that we have more holidays than most schools anyway. And so the opportunity for boys to do work experience, they can do it during their holiday time. Any other questions? All right, well, finally, before you move off to dinner, there are several people that I would like to thank for helping me make this evening possible. Firstly, I'd like to thank Mrs. Chantel Ludke, Mrs. Rachel Gary, Mr. Derek Eggerling and their teams for all of their hard work leading up to tonight. I'd like to thank Mr. Corey Owens for his support with the live stream. I'd like to thank our barbecue assistants and the staff who are present this evening. And mostly I'd like to thank all of you for your attendance, either here in person or on the live stream. I look forward to working with you and your sons throughout the year. And as I've said, please don't hesitate to reach out if I can be of any assistance. And please travel safely. Thank you very much. Please go and eat. How are you? Good, yourself? Good.